Welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher. So let's jump right into it. We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. To another live stream. We're here for the second episode of Signature Series. If you guys aren't familiar with this, basically once or twice a month, I have somebody on that we just talk comics or anything collectible for about an hour or so, and then it gets uploaded to Apple Podcasts. So today, guys, I have a very special guest that I've been wanting to chat with for the past couple of years. You guys have been following him all over the place on Instagram. He does so much stuff with the YouTube community. His business is probably one of the things that I think saved the comic industry during COVID. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him right in right now. However, before I do, I just want to remind you guys, keep the chat light, keep it positive. We're here to ask Ali questions, and I'm going to ask him some doozies myself. So without further ado, there he is. What's going on, bud?
What's up, my friend? How are you?
Good, good, good. I again, thank you so much for joining me on this. There's a lot of topics to kind of get to, and one thing I want to mention before we get started, you were on the Pressable Defect show last night, and I thought it was such a great show. I watched it out this morning on my way to work, so I hope you had fun.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Those guys are great, but I'm happy to be here as well. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna start with the big question because that's the same. Every question I get from everybody out there is, what's going on in the comic market? Is it a good time to buy? Is it the time to sell? So you just hold on. What are you seeing? And not only through Elite Comics 11, but yourself. What are you doing right now? What are you seeing?
We're selling books. That's what we're doing. So is it a good time to sell? I mean, it kind of depends, right? Like, it depends on what your own goals are, when you exactly bought in. I mean, generally speaking, yeah, the market's cooled a bit. I mean, I think people are still after the same books, but with everything going on right now, some of those books have definitely come down from where they were, at the height of some of this pandemic boom, call it, because kind of bigger economic issues have been happening, and some of those speculative plays haven't worked out as well lately. And I think you get a little chill because of that. Some people were only in it for the 20% return every 2 months or whatever. Some of those people may have kind of chilled a bit, or maybe even left the market. So that's how to, you see some dipping in prices because of that. So if you're talking about those kind of books, like, we see a cooling in terms of prices coming down, but a lot of people are buying the dip, as it were, or kind of reinvesting at lower prices on those things, because everyone still wants those Silver Age grails. Trust me, it's just they don't want to pay too much for them right now. And then on the other hand, and again, this is just my own opinion, so take it for what it is, but I think a lot of great new additions to the collecting community happened during the pandemic as well. A lot of people being exposed to comics and the potential there for some appreciation or just collecting in general, and they were bombarded with like the same books over and over again. So I think that group of people is actually searching out for they're looking for rarer books now. And so I think that's a big reason why we see the golden age books really actually doing the opposite. They're going up right now. So a lot of people looking for something scarce and different. And so I think you're seeing a lot of people enter the golden age market now. So anyways,
Yeah,
that's a long answer, but that's
exactly what I'm seeing as well. I see a lot of golden age books, especially on live sales, being posted for sale. The one thing I will ask you personally, do you still collect comic books? I know I see a bunch of stuff, but are you actively buy, or just like once in a blue moon?
Yeah, so thankfully, because you sit in my chair, so we're Elite Comics 11 on Instagram. We're like the largest comic sales page on the platform. So we're always helping people sell the books and buy the books. So if I kind of have to keep myself in check a bit, because I could get into some dangerous territory quickly. So I do collect. I tend to focus on like the really scarce things that I really don't think I might not be able to get again. Like, for example, I just picked up the first Mickey Mouse in comics. Like, when that came up, I was like, all right, I got to pick that up. When I see like Jack Kirby signature Silver Age Grails, I picked those up. And then I'm just buying things from my own childhood. Like, they're not necessarily comics, but like original Ninja Turtle stuff, He-Man first series stuff. Like, that's kind of what you'll see me picking up personally.
So we have that in common. So everybody who watches my channel knows I am a huge Masters of the Universe fan. So like I collect all the new origins and I have the original ones, the loose ones. I can't go out and get the mint on card ones now because it's crazy amount of money for some of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was great. All right, so we've gone over the comics that you collect. So if you had an opinion right now on where opportunity is in the comic market, where would it be? What genre is it? Is it still silver? Because that was the main, age that people were after, I think. Is it shifted to gold? Is it, art? What do you think it is? What do you think people are going after right now? The biggest one?
I think it is. Well, I mean, I'll just share kind of what I see, which is, I think there's a lot like the golden age, like I mentioned, like a lot of people get into golden age. I mean, there's good and bad in golden age in the sense that a lot of people are getting into it because it's cool, historic, and scarce. It might not necessarily have that current pop culture kind of relatability that some of these Silver Age Grails have, or Bronze Age keys. So that's a trend I'm seeing. We'll see how that plays out. I'm watching it. I don't know exactly where that's going to go. I don't know how far it will go. I'm also seeing, like I said, there is definitely a resistance to the Silver Age Grail price drops. Like, people are buying back in. So I think, if my advice would be, there's a lot of forces going on right now. I don't blame someone for kind of just sitting back for a bit, seeing kind of where the market like pans out, especially if it's, something that you really have to think twice about spending some amount of money on. Like, I would preach some caution there, just kind of let things shake out a bit. But, so I don't really like to tell people what to do with their money. My focus is looking at fair market value, making sure people are getting fair deals based on the data. And I don't really like to preach about what people should buy. But one thing I will point out is there's been a lot of energy, and this is golden age again, in pulps, which aren't comics, but pulps, because word on the street, and I think this was confirmed, so that CGC is going to start grading pulps.
All
So
right,
a
I
lot of
didn't know
people
that.
are kind of thinking about that being like a brand new market. So we've been seeing a lot of that.
So there you go. That's an interesting new nugget that at least I haven't heard of, but that's good to know. All right, so let's get into Elite, because this is why I really wanted you to have you on, is because I kind of wondered to myself, we all went through the, COVID issues and being home. Unfortunately, I was one of those people who wasn't at home because I work in the healthcare field, so I had to kind of be out there. But I remember sitting on my couch when I wasn't at work and watching these live streams come up. And I got to be honest, I was addicted. I didn't want to miss a stream. I'd be at work, whenever I had a time, just to see when you guys went live. And it was like I had to be on because I felt like I was going to miss something. I felt like there was an opportunity for me to buy something that I needed in my collection and wanted for a good price, because obviously there weren't any cons, there wasn't anything going on. So I have to ask you, how did you start Elite 11, and what was the thought press going on? And let's start with that question. How did it start?
Yeah. So, I have, in another world, I mean, I'm a lawyer. So in another world, that's what I do. But then kind of as just, I grew up in business, kind of always, family business has been several things, but not comics. But I kind of have that in my blood. So just kind of as a, just kind of a hobby slash kind of side hustle business, I just started picking up some collections, and then I would sell off like kind of the stuff I didn't want. And I would do that on Facebook, actually. So I actually started on Facebook. I was buying and selling on Facebook. We have some Facebook assets, some groups that I started. They're still going on strong, including the Vintage Comics group on Facebook. So I started connecting with people on there, and I actually built kind of a reputation there as a seller. And then one day, one of my friends, shout out to Greco, but Eric Greco like said, "Hey, you should try Instagram." And I'm like, "What do I need Instagram for? Like, what do you do on there? Just put selfies up and stuff?" And he was just like, "Just try it, man. It's great. The people are great." And there's a lot of trolls and negativity and scammers and stuff on Facebook, so that was always like a thing there. So I gave it a try. 2013-ish. You might have seen a few kind of personal photos go up. Wasn't really trying to sell anything. That's 2013. I'll fast forward a bit. I started connecting with people, and I kind of realized, like, hey, I actually know people with some items I could pick up, kind of under market value and sell them. So with their permission, I started doing some consignments here and there. And then we'll fast forward. Your network keeps getting bigger. You're meeting great people because it's always about the people. And then by 2017, we're a good sized consignment page. We're pretty much I'm doing consignment. It was just me. I was doing consignments then. And then we pick up some steam, and then we do our first AtCon. So we do a virtual convention for Instagram, but it was the first AtCon. So I don't even know if you saw it.
I think I did. I was there. I remember seeing everything plastered all over Instagram. I'm like, wow, what the hell is this? And I'm not sure if it was after COVID or before COVID. I remember seeing it like AdCon, like, how is that going to work? How is this? Like, couldn't wrap my mind around how it was going to work. But then you saw it and I was like, holy shit.
So it was the first AtCon, though. We have a sister channel, like our backup account that we're doing some new things with, but it's called EliteComics11. The first AtCon was actually on there, and it was before live streaming. We did the first AtCon, so it had no live shows. It was just a series of posts with like embedded videos, and then we did like live kind of panels by commenting in the comments and stuff. So it was pretty remedial. Anyways, that was just us trying to do. I was just trying to do something new with that. But then the pandemic happens. Now people start doing live streams about this time. I mean, there were definitely some live sales going on during the pandemic, but I think where we really put a new spin on things is when we pioneered the split screen live sale. So why did we do that? So I was sitting around, I had this network and kind of that business background I have, small business background, family business. My heart broke for these small comic shops that they were forced to close their doors. I mean, so I was just thinking, well, I've seen people kind of like split screen to like talk about issues and stuff, and there's a lot going on right now. But what if I just have somebody join me from one of these shops that can't open and kind of throw our network support at them with a split screen live sale while they can't open because of the restrictions? So we called it the Remedy Tour, and we just found several awesome dealers and shops like across the country that they either couldn't open their store, or the conventions that they thought they were going to do and they really needed to do, they were canceled. So we brought them in. I mean, I don't like to overstate things, but let's just say they really needed help, and it was sweet music because I think a lot of people were stuck at home and they were kind of looking to get some of this, collectibles and kind of just have entertainment as well. So that's how the split screen live sales happen. That was pandemic. I mean, it came out of the pandemic.
And so let me ask.
Yeah,
I was going to say, sorry to cut you off. Let me ask you one question. Did you reach out to these shops and these places, or did they reach out to you?
So it didn't exist. So there was I had to reach out to a few at first because it didn't exist. Like they wouldn't have known what I was talking about. So I was just like, hey, do you want to come on split screen with me? What's split screen? Oh, like you and I will share a screen on the internet. Yeah, on the internet. And there was a lot of resistance because people are like, what the heck is that? Like, I don't do internet, I do comms. And so yeah, at first I kind of had to make some connections and kind of convince people to try it out. But once the Remedy Tour started going, other shops or their friends were like, hey, my LCS could use that, or hey, I know a dealer who's having a hard time right now. And then pretty soon we have, I don't know how many, there were like, I don't know, 20, 30 stops and on the Remedy Tour of different dealers and shops we worked with, and then they kept going. I mean, we still did one. I did one the other day. We bring it back every once in a while. There was a local LCS who I saw a Facebook post that they were basically going to close their doors, and it was a friend of mine, and I was just like, "No, man, like let's
Yeah.
we're gonna do a live sale over there, and we're gonna raise some money, and like you're gonna sell some stuff." And so we did that, and he's in a much better spot now. So that's how that started. But yeah, and then
So
it evolved after that.
so when you first started going with the whole live thing, did you have any reservations? Were you kind of nervous? Were you like, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, or you were totally good with it from day one?
I was totally a wreck. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I've done trials and stuff, but like, I'm not like I wasn't. I don't. I'm not. I wasn't out looking to be a celebrity. You're not going to see. I'm not a huge fan of that. It's just so. But I wanted to do it because, especially for the Remedy tour, it was like something that I really believed in. Like I thought I could really help, and so I tried it. But like I look back at some old videos that I did, just like how am I gonna look? How do I look? Because I was super nervous. Like I'm just gonna be honest. Like I was nervous. Like I wasn't. I've never gone into acting or being on TV. I don't have a show like you. It's just and so yeah, I was nervous at first, but just because of that, I was like, man, I want to do a good job, but I'm gonna have to kind of learn how to do this. So, and back when we did these Remedy tours, they were like, and I look back at the records and I'm like, wow, I can't believe we did that. Like they used to be, and people in the chat, they probably saw them. They used to be like 6, 8 hours, like
I
time we
remember.
did, like, and it was just me. So I would take like a 10-minute break, maybe after 4 hours, and then we come back and do the next because, as far as I knew, they needed to make money that night in order to, maybe for some people stay in business. So we just went all out. I went all in, and so yeah, I guess the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I definitely put in the time, and I definitely have a lot of hours logged doing live sales. So.
Well, you mentioned that because you know what? I used to stay up late because I would see somebody post something on this on your feed. I'm like, oh shit, I want that book, and I'd have to wait for you to the seller to kind of bring that book out. And I'm like, oh man, I'd be staying up like I'd come home at like 4 or 5 o'clock, and I'm up like 1 in the morning waiting for this book to come out. And I'm like, crap. But all right. So we found out how it started. What the idea was. Let's go to where you are now. So we went from just being a consignment site to having live shows all the time for LCSs and dealers out there. But now I think you've gone to other aspects. I finally met you at New York Comic Con this year. So you're going to cons, you're in person. Can you talk about a little bit the other stuff you're doing now besides what we just talked about?
Yeah, so the Remedy tour we were talking about, helping shops, that evolved into, obviously there was a boom in comics. We've talked about that. And it just worked out that for several reasons, comics actually exploded. So a lot of the shops that needed help, they didn't need help. Dealers didn't need help. So we wanted to keep this going. So that's converted to Claim Fest Live, which is almost a daily live sale series where we're always bringing in an LCS or dealer on that series. So that's a regular thing we do. And then we also have like collector stashes where we actually bring on some people from our community and let them, they have their own personal goals. They might want to move some of their own collection because they have collecting goals, or maybe they have a life situation where they need to raise some funds. So that's another thing we do. And then, like you were mentioning, now that I'm more or less doing this full time, I'm able to go out in person at different conventions and put faces to people that I've known for years. And we've done deals for years on the internet, but there's nothing like a handshake. So that's been awesome to just put faces to handles. And yeah, that's so pretty much you come on to EliteComics11, and we can help you sell books. We can help you buy books, but also, we have a lot of content, a lot of live content. You go into one of our live sales, it's like walking into the Cheers bar. It's like there's regulars, there's inside jokes, like people have a good time hanging out. I mean, it's kind of mind blowing, but when I talk to people, they're like, yeah, I watch your show. I watch your show. And I'm like, oh, when do you watch it? They're like, oh, I always have it on. And I'm like, what? When? Every
All
night.
day. Yeah.
I'm
But
like,
that's what I
okay.
said. It's like it really is an addiction. I'm not. It is. I mean, especially because you have some of the same same dealers come on every once in a blue, and then you have new guys jump in as well. So like if you're a collector like me and I buy a book, and I've bought a ton of stuff from Elite Comics 11. I've sold stuff through consignment with Elite Comics 11. And I remember buying a book from, somebody on a live sale with them, and then all of a sudden I see them like 2 months later come back on. I'm like, crap, I got to get back on there. So it's like that, which is a good thing. Are you still getting new either LCSs or dealers asking to come on?
Yeah, definitely. No, nowadays it's more about like, so, okay, it's always been like, so we talk about the elite guarantee, and that means you ever buy anything, whether it's on our main page or our live sale, you're not happy, you get it in, you're not happy. Look, you're gonna get a refund. Like you're just gonna get your money back. And so for that reason, I want to make sure I understand who I'm bringing on as like a live seller. So that's kind of the biggest obstacle, is just making sure you're doing a lot of quality control. You have a good sense of who you're bringing on. But yeah, there's, our live shows are successful, and we're almost at like what, 33,000 followers, kind of working on that. And we get good viewership, a lot of sales. So yeah, a lot of people asking to do live sales with us, but I like to be pragmatic and just bring on, sellers that I know I can trust, because
Yeah.
ultimately we got to guarantee everything.
Yeah,
So
that's a big part of this business. I mean, how many times has anyone out there as a collector has gotten someone from somebody and hasn't been happy, and dealing with the process of returning something or getting your money back can be kind of like one of the biggest nightmares there is. So that is a great feature to have, especially from a business that you can trust. And like I said, I've used them for buying and selling. I bought one of my biggest books from you guys.
yeah,
So
is that back there? Is it?
it's over here. It's off screen.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing. I take a lot of pride in just knowing that there's no one out there that could be like, oh, I bought that from Elite and I got burned. It's like, there's just not out there. And that's not free. A lot of times stuff happens, and
Yeah.
a lot of people don't want to step up when something bad happens. So, that's kind of my role, to just make sure that we do that, because I don't, I'm in it for the long run. So
So I have a question. You told me you started it was just you. Now you've grown so much. How many people are part of Elite Comics 11 now that help you out? They co-host sales, stuff like that.
I think the core group is about, let's just say core group, about 4 to 5. And then,
Okay.
I got some friends that help out here and there when they can, just kind of informally. But 4 to 5 people really, there's a lot of DMs. There's a lot of, there's like live sales almost every night. So I need help. I can't do it all myself anymore. So thankfully, I have an awesome team. I know people see these people, they see Bill and Joe kind of hosting some of the live sales, and Rage Theo hops on every once in a while as well. And there's a lot of help as well for just kind of keeping up with the transactions and DMs. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot, but it's a beautiful thing,
It is.
because you see what the network can accomplish. And one thing, and I think you're so basically, we don't just sell comics. We do a lot of good also, like a lot of charity work and stuff. We can get into that, but that's been eye-opening and some of the most rewarding stuff I've ever done in my life.
So let's
So
talk about that. How does that work? Like what have you I know I've gone on sales where you've donated a lot of the portion of stuff that was made to charity. So you could expand on that a little bit. I think that's great.
yeah, so I mean, so Culture City, St. Jude's, like just kind of charities I believe in. Like, we have this huge platform. We have like one of the biggest selling networks everywhere. And what that means is like there's a lot of quality people in our network. These are people that not only have the financial need, but they actually just, these are the right people. These are people that just, because they can, they want to do some good when they can. And I also come from that same, I'm cut from that same cloth. So, for example, we do the give back during the holidays, and like we've raised, I mean, 30, $40,000 for Culture
Wow.
City and St. Jude's, for example. Like usually we kind of raise that amount of money, and I just have people from our network come on and they'll like auction off an item for just saying give it all to whatever charity we've designated. Like I just want, here's an item, somebody buy this and they can just make the donation. So we've done that. There's been people in our community that had personal issues come up, and under kind of a similar setup, we raised a bunch of money for them. Maybe they have a health issue or whatever. And I think people have seen this, but yeah, we're well into six figures for just charity work. I mean,
That's amazing. Kudos to you and Elite. And I want to highlight Nick here because he showing some support. The fact that you're in the medical field, great pops, and Ali shows are great. If everyone can hit that thumbs up and share, that would rock. Thank you so much, Nick. But
thank you,
not
Nick.
only not only that, Nick, the $100 that you donated, Ali, I want to donate it to one of your charities that you give to. So after this, if you guys don't know, he's going to be live at 8 o'clock on EliteComics11. I will be there. So on the live show tonight, I plan on buying something. So I want to take an extra $100, which we'll go over when we do it, and put it towards the next time you do the charity. Okay. Does that work?
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. Thank you so much, Nick. Appreciate that. And we'll actually match it. I'll match it myself. So $100 from Elite. Well, I don't know if Nick has a charity he wants to pick, but Elite will match that. So thank you, Nick.
Nick, if you're still there, buddy, if you have a charity, drop it down in the comments. But thank you again. That was very, very generous. All right. So you touched on it, and this is one of my other questions to you. During that whole time when you started and everyone was on the live streams, like they still are, but that's when I met a lot of the guys and gals that I talk to now and talk comics with. Like a lot of the people you see in the chat are the people that I talk to the most, probably via Instagram, or I have, text message. Can you talk about to that? I don't think a lot enough people talk about what the live sales and Elite 11 has done for just kind of bringing the community together, especially now. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but all the hate that's going on and all the influencer nonsense, people going back and forth with each other, it's crazy to me. And when you first started and when you started doing it, and everybody was there, it was like we're all having fun, we're buying comics, we're joking in the chat, and then it was all of a sudden, hey, I'm following this dude, and now I'm talking to this guy. And that kind of brought everybody together during a really difficult situation. How has that been like for you? I know for me, I've made so many new friends because of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been focused on Elite, like especially the past 2 years. So I still have my friends and family, but like I also have new friends and family. Like I joke when I go to New York, especially just because of the population density there. It's like one of these days, I think I'm gonna have more friends in New York than I do here in California, like just because of Elite, like just the community, like just meeting people all over the world, like literally all over the world, just bringing people together. I mean, I said this during AtCon, which we just did our 7th AtCon. It was massive, for like 5 days of live stream sales and guests. It takes literally tens of thousands of people come together on EliteComics11 for an event like that. So you have so many incredible people bring in their own piece of themselves to make something like this possible, and that's just incredible. So I sit back and I'm just like, wow, this is actually, I just want to make sure everyone notices kind of how remarkable the community is. I mean, I want you to find another community that they find out that, somebody in their community has a medical need, and then they raise, about $40,000 in a night, like just by selflessly giving. Like I mean, I don't want to say that's normal, but there's several examples of that have happened on our channel, and it just speaks volumes about the quality of our community. And I don't think there's anything else like it.
Yeah. I
So
mean, it really has been something that I think it's changed a lot of our lives. I mean, I know Kyle from Kyle's Comics. I used to see him at a monthly show that he does in Clifton sometimes, and I know you're very good friends with him. He's on Elite a lot. I have never met Gus from Silver Age Comics, but I've been dying to go to his shop ever since the first time that he was on your show. I'm like, holy crap, look at all this stuff that he has. And it's every time he's on the show, I'm like, oh man, I got to get the frick out there. I got to get the hell out there. But he's on the other side of New York. So, but I
you
got to
gotta
do it.
go. You gotta go.
Yeah.
It's like a comic shop in a train station. It's just
Yeah.
you're never gonna see anything like that.
A- and the stuff that he has, it's like every time he sells a ton of stuff, the next time he's on, he's got even more incredible stuff. So,
Yeah.
like I said, guys, if you're haven't been checking out Elite Comics 11 on Instagram, all the sellers he has are phenomenal. They have everything you could want from Silver Age Grails to modern books, whatever you're looking for. Make sure you're subscribed to Elite Comics 11 because you're missing out if you're not. The next thing I want to go with you on is I actually did a few videos about Instagram deals. So like I've done two already, and when I see like deals on your page or somebody else's page that I think are great, and the two that I've done, there has been a few on your site. Like literally, I report on it and say, look, this is a great price. It's so far under GPA for the grade point, blah blah blah. Literally, right after I post the video, I go back on there, and within an hour, the books are gone.
So
So
that's what's happening. Okay.
it's good though because
Yeah.
it's like that's to me this is the new way of collecting. This is the new I used to buy before Elite, before all the live sale. I used to buy a majority of my books through eBay. I would go to some local shows once a month, a con every once in a while. Cons could be a bit pricey because a lot of the vendors will sometimes they'll have to, cover the cost of
Mhm.
setting up at a con.
Exactly.
Whereas doing live sales, it's the exact opposite. We can you have a dealer on, he has other collectors on who maybe just looking to move books, so could take that cash, put it to something else. So the deals you're getting are absolutely phenomenal. So um let me bring you to one question, and I've been dying to ask this question.
Yeah.
What is the biggest thing? Because I'm not going to say book because maybe it's not a book because I know you guys sometimes consign other things. What is the most expensive thing you guys have sold on Elite?
Just under 200 grand. It was Turtles 198.
Oh, I remember seeing that post. I remember seeing that post. I'm like, wow, is anyone going to pick this up? And then literally, I don't know how long it was sitting there, but there was a comment saying DM or something. I'm like, oh, and there it went. All right,
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
amazing.
it was a, I mean, I told you earlier I was a Turtles fan. So I'm looking at that book and I'm like, oh man, love that. I only have a 9.0 and a 9.2, but somebody got a 9.8. And so that was,
That's amazing.
but but there's other books we've sold that are close as well. So I mean, so there's that, but not everybody's looking for those kind of books. I mean, I take pride in the fact, especially so on our consignment page, at least currently, it's like graded books. So, those tend to have a certain value just because they're graded and somebody decided to invest in the grading to so there's premiums with those. But the live sales are awesome because they open up the value books as well. Like people, maybe want $10 books or $20 books, like raw books as well. So it's in the live sales that we really can offer, you know, books for every budget. So I think that it's great to be able to get people get the books that work for their own budgets, regardless of what that is. So
Yeah. Do you guys ever consign raw books? Because I do see a lot of slabs, but I rarely, if any, do I ever see a raw book.
yeah, I mean, we have, but again, so I need to back everything that happens on our page. So one issue here is, and I'm sure you're familiar,
Yes.
disagreements about grades, right?
Yes.
So, not only do you have the pressure and risk of knowing who you're selling for and whether or not they can grade, but also you have like a third party grading company that's also going to weigh in. And then once you find out what that third party says, there's grading costs up in the air as well. And you don't want anyone. So it's like this. So long story short, I want to rule it out. We've done it. But when I do that, it has to be somebody I really know, and I really know they can grade, and I really know that they do the right thing if they were off. So
All right.
it's a lot more complicated. Obviously, we let our elite sellers sell raw books on our live sales, so we
Yeah.
trust them on that front.
All right. So we've gone through where you came from, where you're at now. What do we have left up the sleeve? Where do you see you guys taking on another role or something else coming in the future?
Yeah, I think I see us as I think the core of what we're doing right now is, I mean, consignment. Again, we can help you sell books, we can help you buy books. I think people know that. We're going to continue to expand the network to make those things even better. And like I said, I've been building a team for better customer service. I think we do amazing customer service for how much volume we have to deal with. And you're not talking to a robot. If you got a problem, there's somebody that's actually going to talk to you and like get it fixed. So that's huge. But new things. So we just did for AtCon. Like, I always like to try new things. So for AtCon, our last virtual convention that was just a couple weeks ago, we did the first 24-hour live sale. So we actually went around the clock for 24 hours the last day at AtCon, stayed up all night, did that. That was a first. I think people really enjoyed that. Some people stayed up with us. We had the British come in at like, I think it was like
I saw that. I was there for that one.
6 a.m. Eastern or whatever. And we had a collector off the coast of Japan. Like, he lives there, so he was able to come and help us offer up some awesome books in the middle of the night, because it was like daytime to him. So there, things like that. That's one thing. The other thing we're doing is Elite Center 11, which we discussed. It was the first site of the first AtCon. That's kind of our sister page, our backup account. We just did the first live sale in there where, we actually have a live vendor go ahead and do a direct live sale in there, and we bring the Elite network to that live sale. So that was successful. That vendor really enjoyed that, so we're going to keep fine-tuning that and make those more successful. We've also introduced the new live sale format of having, we call it the bazaar. It's like, it's having multiple dealers on at the same time, kind of in a 4-box situation. And it's kind of like NFL red zone. It's like, there's always something happening. And like, you kind of get addicted to that action. And then like, when you kind of see a single screen later, it just kind of feels kind of slow. So
Do they ever get annoyed? Do they ever get annoyed at each other that like there's 4 of them on the screen? Because I'm on them, and you see like one guy's talking about a book and the other guy's like showing a book, not talking, but while the other person's talking.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I kind of just tell them like, listen, it's at best organized chaos, all right? But it might be frustrating for you, but trust me, the audience, they love all that action on the screen at once. So that's something new. And I mean, I think that's generally, other than just saying, I think the community is kind of, I mean, we're community powered. So I'm always experimenting and thinking of ways to increase that community interaction. So we've done things like talk shows. We have like chatter boxes where we brought on multiple people just live, and we cover topics, and people have enjoyed those. But for the most part, it seems that people just really dig these live sales. Like, so I'm just trying to continue to improve them, make the quality better, and make sure that we're providing entertainment and people have a good time. And I mean, my focus day to day is, other than networking and building that network, is just making sure that nobody's getting burned from Elite Comics 11. So just making sure everyone's protected.
All right, that's awesome. So I have a couple more questions for Ali, but I want to open it up to the chat if anybody has a specific question you want me to ask him. But any thought to like doing anything outside of Instagram, or is it just going to be concentrated to Instagram? Like
Yeah,
YouTube,
I mean, I think,
or whatever?
yeah. No, so I mean, we have a Facebook presence. We've always cross-posted our books to our Instagram, I mean, our Facebook page. I own several groups on Facebook. We haven't really done much with Elite. We've kind of kept them separate from Elite, but they do say that they're, by Elite Comics 11. So I'm looking, again, like I would be interested in finding different ways to make the community be able to better interact. So if other platforms allow me to do that, you know, they're probably in the works. But right now, I think what we have on IG is just something really special and precious. And I think that I got to make sure we're doing that right and not try to do other things that take away from that. So when the time is right, trust me, we will be trying new things on other platforms. But right now, I think most of the focus is going to continue to be on Instagram.
All right, cool. So Nick says World Central Kitchen would be great if that's possible.
You got it, Nick. So I'll match that $100. So they'll get $200. Thank you.
So one other question, and then I'll probably let you go, because I know you have to get ready for another live sale tonight, starting at 8 o'clock on EliteComics11. But this is a serious question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
How do I get an EliteComics11 t-shirt?
All right. So it's currently, it was EliteCenter11.com, like where there was a shop. It's down as we're talking right now, but I will definitely get you a shirt. Okay. So
thank you. I appreciate that. All right. I don't see any questions in the chat. So Ali, I wanted to thank you again for joining me today. This was a blast. I really could not say thank you any more than I have. It was just a blast. I finally glad to actually kind of talk to you and kind of get to know you a little bit and find out, you know, how everything started and of course where you are now. It was great having you on.
Hey, likewise, really appreciate you having me on, and definitely I want people to, you know, however I can show love to this show, we'll put a link up to this and people can watch it if they weren't able to catch it on the live, and really appreciate what you do as well, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ali. All right, everyone in the chat, everybody watching it on YouTube, remember, subscribe to EliteComics11. There's a show going down right after this one, starting at 8 o'clock Eastern. Check it out. I'll be there, and I will talk to you guys, as always, soon.
All right. Thanks, my friend.